There was a very pivotal play that happened on, what do you know, Alabama's first drive with 12 minutes to go in the first quarter. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope all of you having a great start to your week. If not, hope this video can make it a little bit better. Over the weekend, we had one of the greatest college football games of all time, and that was no other than Alabama versus Georgia. We've already talked plenty about the game itself, but now that we're a couple days removed from it, I've had time to watch film and break it down a little bit more. And when I was rewatching it, there were some things that stuck out to me, but also there were some things that Kirby Smart said after the game in the press conference that stuck out to me. There wasn't just one reason Georgia lost this game. There was multiple different reasons. We're here to talk about that in tonight's video. This topic is so important. It is the one and only thing we're going to be talking about. So strap in, buckle up, get you a snack, get you a popcorn, get your favorite meal you like to eat and watch a video, because trust me, I do the same thing. But all right, man, blah, blah, shut the crap up. Now, without further ado, let's get it. First things first, let's address the elephant in the room, because I already know there's a bunch of you running to the comment section. You're flying going, Matt, I know why they lost, man. It's because they gave up 28 just like that to start the game. Yes, you're right, but there's a little more to it, and that's what we're going to divulge into in this video. I got some fun facts I want to share with you. Alabama started out the game scoring 4 straight touchdowns. Boom, 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 just like that, 28-0. But to take it a step even farther, in the first half, Alabama had 355 total yards. Georgia, 153. And at halftime, we saw Alabama had 30, Georgia had 7. But why did this happen? The short answer is Georgia couldn't stop them. There was a very pivotal play that happened on, what do you know, Alabama's first drive with 12 minutes to go in the first quarter. Alabama was moving the ball down the field. They get a holding call, so they're behind the chains. It's 1st and 20. Georgia sends a 6-man blitz, and it works out perfectly. They got Jalen Milroe dead in the water. You see this picture. This guy is right in front of Milroe. But Milroe, being the athlete he is, makes one guy look silly, and if you send a blitz and you don't get to him or he escapes, it's wraps from there because there's a bunch of open field.
Here comes. Milroe escapes.
For most quarterbacks, you would have been looking at 2nd and 28. For Milroe, well, you're looking at, I believe it wound up something like 2nd and 2 after that play, and Alabama punches it in. Alabama scores another touchdown after that. Carson Beck throws a pick. That was one of his many turnovers, and it's 2nd and 4 with Alabama up 14-0 in the red zone. Looks like an obvious run play, and it's going to be an inside zone. But just like Lee Corso says, not so fast, my friend. The beauty of having Jalen Milroe back there is most of your inside zones, they turn into read options.
Looking a little dazed right now.
And it was the right play to pull the ball, but the crazy part is as you can see right here, Georgia was still in solid position to make a tackle and make a play. But Milroe is the best athlete. I didn't say one of the best. You heard me. I said the best athlete in all of college football, so good luck.
Keeper again. Milroe makes a cut.
For most players and even most running backs, you might struggle to get a first down there. Milroe turns it into an easy first down, and Alabama punches in right after. The very next drive, Alabama's up by a whopping 21-0. It's 4th and 1. Almost a similar play to what we just covered. Looks like it's going to be inside zone, but when you got Milroe, say it with me now, inside zone turns into a read option. The edge rusher takes the running back, Milroe pulls it, and it's GG's from there.
Milroe keep.
And yet again, I know I just said this about the last play, but the crazy part about this is the Georgia defender actually had a decent angle on Milroe, but Milroe's just way too fast. He gets past that first guy, and he turns on the Jets, and yeah, it's over with.
Tight roping down the side.
Just like that, boom. Within the blink of an eye and only a few plays, Alabama's up 28-0. And that was the thing about this game, and if you seriously sit down and think about it, Alabama didn't have any slow and methodical drives. Even on that final drive at the end, it was a one-play 75-yard touchdown to Ryan Williams. By the way, did you know Ryan Williams is 17 years old? I'm sorry I had to. I'm going to say that the rest of the year, and if you ever hear me say it, I'm obviously being sarcastic. I was sick and tired of them saying he was only 17 years old a couple of weeks ago, so you know I'm tired of it now. But getting back on track here, like I was saying, Alabama is one of the most explosive offenses in the nation. But think about what we've went over up until this point in the video. Have we even talked about a pass play from Milroe? No, he looked like a phenomenal passer against Georgia, and it's because he is. And it's not that I'm discrediting his passing game. I'm telling you what made all the difference in the world was his running ability. Georgia was prepared for the runs. They weren't getting fooled, and they still couldn't stop him. I hope that puts into perspective just how insane Milroe is. I can't emphasize this enough. Milroe had a fantastic game throwing, and he killed Georgia through the air. But when I went back and watched this film, and I'm just showing you a few plays here and there, the biggest plays and the biggest factor in this game, in my humble opinion, was Milroe's running ability. That's why Georgia lost. You couldn't contain Milroe, and If you can't contain him, it's over. You're probably sitting here going, well, Matt, what about the second half? And, well, after Alabama scored 28 points, there's nothing to say because they didn't score really after that. They got a safety, but credit the defense for that, and they got one field goal in the second half outside of that final touchdown. And there's nothing really to say on that final touchdown because it's not that Georgia played bad defense. They were in great position. It's more so if you got to tip your cap to Ryan Williams because he's one of the greatest young wide receivers we've ever seen play college football. And also helps that Jalen Milroe, he gave him a nice 50-50 ball. And here's the thing, man. When you dig a hole like that, you give up a 30-burger in the first half, only score 7, it's going to be hard to come back. You almost had to play flawlessly in the second half and hope the other team makes mistakes, and that's what happened. Georgia played really good in the second half on offense and defense, and Alabama didn't play so good. But you can also say, well, Alabama was just trying to protect the lead, and they did, but they were playing too safe on offense and defense. The defense could not get off the field on fourth down, and offense, well, they just struggled. It's as simple as that. But one of the other things that killed Georgia was you had not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 turnovers. And all those turnovers are coming by no other than Mr. Carson Beck himself. And the beauty of it is only 2 of those wound up costing you because on one of them, Alabama threw a pick right back, and then we all know what happened with the fumble. Alabama, they went 3 and out and had to punt from their own 40. But the other 2 turnovers cost you. And here's one interesting stat that stuck out to me when I was looking at these Sunday. When you look at the team stats, you go, oh, Alabama just destroyed Georgia when it comes to running the football. Georgia only had 80 rushing yards. That's abysmal. Alabama 173. But when you dig a little bit deeper, Alabama didn't actually run the ball that well. Because you know who accounted for most of Alabama's rushing yards? Jalen Milroe. He had 117. The second leading carrier for Alabama on the night was Justice Haynes. He had 6 carries for 35 yards. As to why Alabama didn't run him more, I have no idea, especially with a huge lead. I would like to see that change a little bit, but that's a different conversation for a different day. For Georgia, you go, oh, well, they had 26 carries and 80 yards, but remember, when you're down 28-0, you really can't be running the football. And I know they came back, and Carson Beck made some really nice throws at the end. Georgia receivers made some nice catches. But that is not their play style. That's not how Georgia wants to play. What makes Georgia so good is when they can establish the run and rely on their defense. They couldn't do that. They did overcome adversity. Huge shout out and major credit to them. But they don't want to throw the ball 50 times per game. I'm not exaggerating. They literally threw the ball 50 times. That is not the Georgia offense that Kirby Smart wants to run. It was really weird because in the first half, the defense was non-existent, and in the second half, it felt like they had a point to prove. The throwing and running lanes were so wide open in the first half. I remember looking at my friend telling him, dude, I've never seen a Georgia defense look this bad. It quite literally looked like I could have drove my car through some of those holes. I've been asking myself this question too. Is the Georgia defense just not as good as I think they are? Or is the Alabama offense that great? Of course, it's probably a mix of both, but let me know in the comment section, what do you think? Have we overhyped the Georgia defense? I'm curious. We for sure haven't overhyped the Alabama offense because them guys, they're explosive. Last but not least, I want to end off the video with this, and this is something Kirby Smart had to say in the press conference. I found this really fascinating. A reporter asked Kirby Smart about potentially double teaming Ryan Williams, and he said, we can't. I know what you're sitting there saying. What do you mean you can't double team Ryan Williams? Why not? Kirby Smart made an excellent point. Since Alabama has Jalen Milroe, you had to have another guy accounting for him. Therefore, can't double Ryan Williams or anybody else. And that right there is what makes Milroe so, and I mean so special and unique. You got to have another guy just waiting on him, and the sad part about it is it still might not be enough. It's pick your poison, man. You either A, double team Ryan Williams, or B, let one of your linebackers go one-on-one with Jalen Milroe. Which one would you do? I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I'd say you probably got to do a mix of it just to throw them off a little bit, keep them honest. And this may shock some people, but I'm actually more concerned with the Georgia offense than the Georgia defense. The whole narrative going around about Georgia getting off to slow starts is not a narrative anymore. I just think it's the truth. And you could say, well, Matt, in the second half, they turned it on. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. Even Alabama's defensive coordinator came out and said it. You change your defense when you're up by 30. You just automatically try to protect the lead. You're not blitzing as much. You're not as aggressive. Look, I'm not trying to discredit Georgia. They capitalized. They made plays. But what I am saying is it wasn't the same Alabama defense you saw in the first half. And the point is, Georgia, we can all admit, ain't looking too hot on offense. They didn't look good against Alabama. They didn't look good against Kentucky. So they got some stuff to work on. As far as it goes for Carson Beck, that's a really interesting subject. I wouldn't give up on him just quite yet, and I wouldn't jump off the hype train because he's been really good throughout his career at Georgia. I know people don't want to hear this, but you need to look at it from this perspective. It's Alabama. They are the gold standard. So if your quarterback or your team doesn't play good against them, you shouldn't hang your head too low. You just played one of the best football programs of all time. So most teams and most players don't do good against them anyways. There's many more things I can say. I want to make this a short, simple, and sweet video. I'm curious. Let me know your thoughts down below about that.